You've seen all that my garden has to offer through spring, summer, autumn, and now it's January and it's time for a winter garden tour because there's loads of beautiful details and highlights that I want to share with you. So come on, let's go and have a look. Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back. And welcome back to a beautiful, still, calm, really cold morning here in the garden. I've been wanting to do a winter garden tour for quite a while now, and I've been waiting for the perfect day. And I think this might just be it, because in Ireland, the weather can often be really just pretty grey and rainy, but when you get a lovely, fresh, crisp, cold morning, everything really just sings out. And I thought for this garden tour, I would do something just a little bit different. In my previous garden tours, I've shown you all the different areas of the garden. The front garden, the secret garden, the back garden, the veg plot. But what I'm going to do this time instead is focus in on the little details, the beautiful highlights, and some of the things that I'm doing in the garden at the minute. Here, underneath the cypress tree in the back garden, truly is a cause for hope and optimism. Spring bulbs. We have loads of spring bulbs planted all the way round the back garden, under the cypress tree and in the orchard behind. Around this time of year, I get excited when I see these coming up. And if you take a morning like today, when it's really cold and dry, it's really worth coming out and just having a real close look at the bulbs that are coming up. Even before they flower and just when they're tiny little shoots, I think there's something really beautiful about them. And it just shows that real force of nature that even though it's the winter, even though it's cold, growing has started. And they're like a really big sign that says the growing year is getting going. But while we're talking about the beautiful details of little spring bulbs, I've got something else I want to show you. Oh, okay, so this is actually really heavy. If you watch my video back in September, I made a whole how-to instructional video on how to create your own bulb lasagna, which is a layered spring bulb planting, which has 3 different types of bulbs in it: irises, daffodils and tulips, so that you get a really long flowering period out of just one pot. And it's been a success. You can see just on the surface, the irises have sprouted, and I'm really excited to see how they come out and for getting that very first flush of colour out of these pots. For me, I'm really delighted with these. And it's lovely having some bulbs that I can keep close to the house other than the ones that are here in the garden. So by now you'll be well familiar with this area, which is the front garden, and look at the difference from the summer through the autumn to now. It is so much more open now that the trees have lost their leaves. And although it looks like maybe there's not that much going on here at the moment, there are beautiful little corners and specific plants that are just so rewarding if you take the time to look at them really closely. For starters, you kind of can't ignore the silver birches. That really bright white bark just absolutely sings out no matter what the weather, whether it's bright and sunny or whether it's grey and dismal. But when you go and look at it even closer, it's just, I find, fascinating. It's so bright, it's almost like paper, and even just the way it peels off to reveal even brighter bark underneath. I just think they're stunning, and I love those trees. And then right below them, we have some ferns, and in fact there are ferns dotted all the way around the front garden. Rather than cutting them back when they start to die back, instead I leave the brown fronds all the way through the winter and into the spring. I will cut them back before the new fresh fronds emerge, but I do like leaving them at this time of year. I quite like the contrast of the brown against, for instance, the white bark of the silver birches. And also, it helps to provide a habitat to improve the biodiversity in the garden. And then, of course, we have to talk about my wedding cake tree. because although it is completely bare at this time of year, it's not without colour. If you look closely, you can see that all of the little branches that normally bear the leaves and the flowers, they're not grey, they're actually bright maroon red, and I love it. And quite often I will actually just go over and have a look at it to appreciate that colour. Or in my case, quite often I'll go over and take photos of it to appreciate the colour. At this time of year, the normally secluded and shady little secret garden really opens up now that all the leaves are off the trees. And it means that we can appreciate the form of a couple of really beautiful specimen trees in here. For starters, there's the Acer, which obviously through the year has that beautiful dark maroon red foliage. But now that that foliage is gone, you can see the really fine twiggy branch structure that I just love. But for twiggy branch structure, for me, the absolute star of the show in this garden is the Robinia pseudoacacia. Just look at how contorted and twisted each of the branches and each of the twigs are. As lovely as it is when it's in leaf, for me, winter is the season to appreciate it because it just looks knockout. And it's not just flowers and form that are special in the winter. Having scent is something to be really valued, and for that I have this. This is a sarcococca, or a sweet box, and these tiny little white unassuming flowers pack a serious punch when it comes to beautiful scent. If you're anywhere near this plant, you will be able to smell this gorgeous honey, sweet, jasmine-like scent. I am so delighted to have it, and I think I might have to treat myself to a few more. Beautiful little details aren't confined to ornamentals and trees in the main garden. Coming into the veg garden, there's lots of interest happening as well. And I know at this time of year it is easy to feel that the veg garden might be a little bit empty or a little bit drab unless you've put a lot of effort into filling it full of stuff. But even just a few things can make all the difference. Like here, these are my 2 allium beds and they're filled with onions and garlic. I planted them a couple of months ago, and there's something really cheering about being able to come into the veg garden and see that despite the fact that it's the middle of the winter, that these are romping away, and that with any luck, I'm going to have lovely harvests in a few months' time. And as I look down the veg garden, there's lots of other little things happening. I can see my autumn sown broad bean plants. They are still growing despite the conditions. I'm still able to harvest salads. I thought that they would have been absolutely wiped out by the frosts, but they are still clinging on, so I'm able to harvest from them. I've got some salad bowl lettuces and rocket. As well as that, I've got beetroot, parsnip, carrots, chard, and then in my brassica beds, I've got some very, very small early purple sprouting broccoli plants hidden safely under their netting. They are small because I sowed them very late in the season, but they do seem to be doing nicely. And again, if you take that time just to look at something small like that, it does fill you with optimism, knowing that with any luck, there's harvests on the way. If you've been a subscriber to the channel for a while now, you'll know quite how much I love these old apple trees. And as beautiful as they are in the spring when they're in blossom, and through the summer and into autumn when they're in leaf, I do think they're also really special at this time of year in winter. Once they've dumped all of their leaves, they let so much more light through the garden, but particularly you get to appreciate their really quite gnarled, congested form. Now, they are overgrown and they are very congested, but at the same time, they are beautiful and they have loads of interest. Each one of them is covered in ivy and lichen and mosses. And actually, it's just quite nice to wander through here in the winter on a cold day like today and just appreciate those little details. So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing all of the little hidden corners, the little beautiful details, the plants that are starting to come through, and all of the really nice things that my garden has going on at this time of year in the depths of winter. As ever, if you'd like to leave me a comment down below, I love hearing from you. I love getting your thoughts not only on my garden, but on your gardening experiences at the moment. And I think there's something really lovely about sharing knowledge and experiences amongst the gardening community. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified when I post my next video. And until next time, see you later.